Hi, my name is Kyle and I am with Tomcat TV, and today I will be talking spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home. Again, as I mentioned in my spoiler-free review, is an incredible movie. I really loved it. I was surprised, honestly, at how much I loved that movie. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, we all knew that they were in this, but it was just so nice to see it actually happen, and it was beautiful. It was so great to see Tobey Maguire again. Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man. I love the Sam Raimi movies. They are iconic, and they're the best that Spider-Man has been at, honestly, for the last, in history as far as movie goes. Just because the amount of depth of character and the way the movies are made, they're beautiful. The score, the Danny Elfman score for Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3 is just incredible and is iconic and instantly recognizable too. I loved the Amazing Spider-Man movies, not as much as the Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi ones, but the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I thought they were hated on way too much. I acknowledge that they have problems, but I think they capture the spirit of Spider-Man properly, and I think they have the proper arc to Spider-Man that I don't feel like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies were doing. So honestly, it goes Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and then all the way down here, Tom Holland. I just wasn't a fan, and it wasn't because Tom Holland's a bad actor. He's a great actor. I really like him as an actor. Tom Holland's great, but I think it was just the writing for his character in the previous two movies. There was just zero depth. They replaced a lot of the depth with Aunt May and the wisdom with Peter Tingle. I mean, you go back to Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2, and you see the speech that Aunt May gives to Peter.
Well, he knows a hero when he sees one. Everybody loves a hero. People line up for them, cheer them, scream their names, and years later they'll tell how they stood in the rain for hours just to get a glimpse of the one who taught him to hold on a second longer. I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength.
I mean, that whole speech, it just hits you right here every time because it's exactly what he needed to hear. And you don't get those in those previous Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. But I tell you what, honestly, even though you don't get an Aunt May moment like that to that level in this one, it's definitely better. There's a lot more depth. They give the whole with great power comes great responsibility thing. And Aunt May in the beginning of this of No Way Home starts out the Aunt May that I've grown to really not like as a part of this, the MCU. Immediately going in and telling Happy it was just like a fling and just dumping him like a sack of potatoes, and that really frustrated me pretty much immediately in the movie, so that was disappointing. But then as time goes on, she's not Aunt May, she's Uncle Ben. I like Uncle Ben from the Andrew Garfield and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies better than this Aunt May, and I like the Aunt Mays from those movies as well better than this Aunt May. Just because they're a lot better for Peter, I feel like. But she ends up serving that purpose. Again, this is obviously spoiler, but whenever they have that a whole fight with Green Goblin and the rest of, I guess, this Sinister Six, essentially, and Green Goblin ends up essentially pummeling Aunt May and hurting her quite severely. I was like, okay, she's totally dead. And she gets up and she starts walking around, and I was like, okay, well, maybe she's not. I swear she died. And I leaned over my wife and I was like, they should have killed her. What were they thinking? And she starts talking to Peter, and Peter's like, well, we should have just, I should have just, sent him back or whatever. And then she starts giving him whole, with great power comes great responsibility speech. And when she did that, I'm like, oh, she's absolutely dead, because this is what Peter needs. This is what's great about Peter Parker, is he does have that sense of responsibility to his friends and family, and he understands, especially after he gets Uncle Ben killed in the comic books and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, that, as he's quoted in Tobey Maguire, is the people he loves will always be the ones who pay. And it was Uncle Ben, and then for Andrew Garfield, obviously Gwen dying, all that coupled together, that got him to remember, or to get to that point where the ones he loved will always be the ones who pay. And which is what's great about Spider-Man, is that he cares more about keeping them safe than pursuing his own selfish desires where they're concerned. And I think that's why Spider-Man is such a great character, is because as Peter Parker, he just keeps getting pummeled, beaten down left and right, but he keeps going. He keeps serving and trying to save lives and protect the ones he loves, no matter the cost. And that's what's great about his character, is he's the everyman who constantly gets beaten down, but he continuously tries to do the right thing. And that's what I feel like was missing from the previous Tom Holland movies. And I think this one captures a lot more, because by the end of it, he does get to that point of, the ones I love will always be the one who pay, and they're better off without knowing who I am, because once they knew who I am, they're in danger. And now he finally understands that, which I loved. I thought that was great. I will say, because I kind of want to get into, obviously, I tell you what, the Green Goblin, freaking William Dafoe was incredible. Like I mentioned in my spoiler-free review, is I think what made him so scary in this one is not just his performance. His performance was absolutely phenomenal, but also what made this one so great is, I think, the absence of the camp, or like, not really so great, but so scary, is the absence of the camp that was in Spider-Man in 2002. In Spider-Man 2002, that was a very campy, comic booky movie, because that was kind of like the standard that had previously be set, and that's kind of what they're going to do. And this one, there's none of the camp as far as the Green Goblin goes. He just got to be scary. And I tell you what I really loved about this too, is how comic accurate it is. And I remember seeing in the cartoon series, from back in the 90s, whenever he would do his whole Jekyll and Hyde thing, he's like, the Goblin took over again. What did he do? What did he make me do? And he didn't want to be the Goblin anymore. He wanted to put a stop to it. And he wasn't a bad guy, but then the Goblin didn't just influence him, he took over him. And I really enjoyed the whole motivation of the whole objective in this movie, which was him trying to save them, not just from dying, but almost save their souls in a way. And I really like that, because it was a matter of these things happen to them. Electro, he got power, and the power drove him crazy and drove him mad. And then you have Doc Ock, obviously being influenced by the voices in his head. Goblin, of course. Osborn did not want to be Green Goblin, so they helped him there. It's just really, it was really a lot of fun. Obviously, Dr. Connors didn't want to be a part of that. I really enjoyed the interactions with the Lizard, even if it was minimal. I really enjoyed the whole, like, hey, I can improve you. And he's like, you're going to turn me into a lizard, aren't you? And he's like, yes. He's like, of course you are. So that was funny. I appreciated that. I will say some of the humor doesn't, like, particularly land. I think whenever he was entering the school, after being outed and everything with the paparazzi and all that. I think it would have honestly been better if they kept it serious and didn't try to put jokes in there. I guess just because the movie it's a fairly dark movie as far as the themes go of revenge and death and all that type of stuff and loss. I guess they wanted to probably lighten the mood a little bit, but there's plenty of humor throughout the movie that feels well placed, and I don't feel like that was well placed. I think his humor was more well placed in this movie, but as far as a character, I just feel like he had no purpose in this, and if he wasn't in the movie at all, it wouldn't change, because he still has MJ. MJ can serve the purpose of the person who needs to lose their memory and all that, so I don't get that. Ned, I'm not sold on. Like I said, he made me laugh. He made me laugh quite a few times in this, but I just don't get it. I will tell you right now. I tell you what really got me. I literally, I started tearing up, and maybe I'm a wimp. When MJ was falling from the scaffolding, and he couldn't save her, and you can totally see it. Andrew Garfield's an incredible actor. You could see it in his eyes, the whole like, not again, and then he jumps, swings, saves her life like he couldn't do for Gwen. And I teared up. It was his reaction of like, are you okay? And she's like, are you okay? And then he totally is. He feels a little bit more at peace, and you can totally see that. And I really, really do appreciate that. That was just an excellent performance from him, being able to communicate that. Tom Holland's performance, whenever he goes full on after Norman, as the Green Goblin, and he's literally just gonna kill him, and then Toby steps in and stops him like cold, and just kind of stares him down and says, you don't want to do this, just with his eyes, which is really good. And then the Green Goblin freaking stabs him in the back. I thought they, honestly, I was so worried they killed him. I literally went because I was about to start just bawling, because I thought they killed my childhood. Just thinking about it is getting me right now. It is tragic. I really thought they just killed my Spider-Man, and that just terrified me. But I really like what they did there, and the teamwork that was exhibited. It was a really well done movie, dare I say beautiful, to see all my Spider-Man together. I've heard rumors that they're gonna do a Amazing Spider-Man 3, which would be fantastic, and I will absolutely be in the seat for that. Obviously I'd be in a seat for Spider-Man 4, although it's been close to 20 years. As of this year, it's 20 years. It's been 20 years for him, and I don't know if Toby will be willing to do it. If he's willing to do it and, be fit and all that stuff for Spider-Man 4, obviously my butt will be in the theater. It'll be in that seat no matter what. But I think that we can accept that that's pretty much ended at this point, unfortunately. But I think Andrew Garfield is still in a position to where he could play Spider-Man some more, and I'd love to see more from him. That would make me really happy. Especially if he remembers Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, even though he won't remember Tom Holland's most likely. But I'd love to see more of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. He's a fantastic Spider-Man in my opinion. And I think he was judged way too harshly. Okay, and also the in-credits scene. So obviously there was two. I didn't watch the last one because I think it was just the trailer for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which I watched when I got home, the trailer. But the first one, because I just watched Let There Be Carnage, and at the end they have the whole, like, them being brought into the multiverse with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and seeing it on the news, which was great. And I like that they followed up with that with Spider-Man No Way Home at the very end. That was a hilarious scene. And then them leaving behind a small smidgen of symbiote, and that's gonna eventually seek out Peter Parker and become, you know, his black symbiote suit. I'm so excited to see what that looks like whenever they come up with designs. I think it'll look really cool, and I'm excited to see that kind of mesh. And also, I think it'll be really funny to have it to where Venom in the Tom Holland universe is still voiced by Tom Hardy, which I think would be really fun. But yeah, I'm really excited where everything's going. I'm excited to see more with Venom and Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I'd love to see more with that. That would be great. I thought his arc was great. I think there is a great evolution to his character, a lot of maturity that's been exhibited. I think and him getting a new suit at the end, almost symbolizing that new beginning. And see, this, I think this is where it kind of shows me that he's becoming the Spider-Man that he's supposed to be, that this was kind of the origin story of Spider-Man as we know him and as he should be. The one who understands with great power comes great responsibility. The one who works hard at school and paying for his ability to live. And while he's not doing school or working or getting, you know, abused by people in his life, he's being Spider-Man and fighting villains and saving the city and the world. And I'm really excited to see where that comes from. And I think that was exhibited well with him, you know, getting his GED. You can see the book at the very end, and you could also see not just his GED, but the fact that he's renting an apartment, which means he's going to have to get a job, and he's going to be doing this Peter Parker thing, and that he sewed a new suit. He sewed a new suit, be his own person, not relying on Tony Stark or his legacy. That he is Spider-Man. He's not the new Tony Stark. He is Spider-Man, and that's what I wanted from him. I don't want a mini Tony Stark. I want Peter Parker. I want Spider-Man. Spider-Man is too good of a character to have him be minimalized by making him into a different character. So I'm really happy with what they did with this movie. I love seeing Toby again and Andrew again. Like I said, I'd love to see more of both of them. Honestly, if they could have like a buddy Spider-Man movie together, that would be pretty cool. But I think I'd be happy even if it was just another Andrew Garfield movie, which I was really sad when they didn't continue his story. So I would love to see more of that. But yeah, let me know what you thought of Spider-Man No Way Home, and honestly the trilogy as a whole. Were you kind of like of my same opinion as far as like it being a very lackluster first two movies in the trilogy, and then this one actually being good? Or is it something to where you liked all three and he's your favorite Spider-Man? Let me know down below. We can all have different opinions, of course. Let me know what you thought of Spider-Man No Way Home and what you think of my thoughts down in the comments down below. If you agree goes, just because the amount of depth of character and the way the movies are made, they're beautiful. The score, the Danny Elfman score for Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3 is just incredible, and it is iconic and instantly recognizable too. I loved the Amazing Spider-Man movies, not as much as the Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi ones, but the Amazing